Okay, hello, this is Wmpyr. I just watched this video and it was on Facebook, obviously. I thought it was a really good video. Watch it all the way to the end, and when you do, you find out something extremely important. So yeah, make sure you watch it all the way to the end. But anyway, yeah. What do I think of this video? I'm going to share my 2 cents from a martial arts perspective. Okay. So the question here is, was the teacher right or wrong in their actions? The student, I think it's pretty, how would you say, a lot of it, or especially the initial, because the student slaps the teacher, right? So we already know that they crossed the line for doing that. So that's not a good thing. I think that can't be disputed, but I don't know. Some people may be on the side of the student. So the question is whether it was a teacher or the student, were they right or wrong? And from a martial arts perspective, I don't have time for right or wrong. Right or wrong, trying to figure that out can take decades if you really, really want to figure it out, like get deep dive into it and think about it and all that. Yeah, you could meditate on it your whole life. So I don't care about necessarily right or wrong. It's more about your actions have consequences. Your actions cause a reaction. So for the student to slap the teacher, that's crossing a line. Okay. So that's going to have consequences. Now, the teacher yelling at the student, this, getting in their face, like you're seeing, very aggressive in their face and yelling at them, while this is not cool or good or anything like that, it's generally considered not as offensive as slapping them in the face, this was the student's response to that. So the teacher is, drilling the student, yelling at them like a drill sergeant, right? So then the student responded with slapping the teacher's face. Okay, so I'm not sure what the teacher there was necessarily trying to do when the situation here is not the army, it's not basic training. You know what I mean? If it was basic training, it would be more appropriate for the teacher to be, acting this way. But I really don't have the full picture here. I don't know if the student has been causing a lot of problems, the whole semester, and the teacher finally just, exploded like this. Now, I've been in college where the professor gave me attitude for one time. I've been a model student this whole time, and just one time I slipped a little and the professor went off on me. Or there's been times where it was even a complete misunderstanding. Okay. And the professor just went off on me, humiliated me in front of class. So those are all poor teachers, piss poor teachers. And there's plenty, I guarantee you, there was more piss poor teachers than there were good ones. Okay. Not saying that it's okay. I'm just saying, unfortunately, it's common. So in this environment, I kind of don't know what the hell the full picture is, but slapping is definitely, you put your hands on them, right? So the student slapped the teacher. At that point, I think you're crossing the line, and when you do something like that, you need to expect the consequences back. And the student just, from this video, continues to escalate the situation. The student is like just trying to make it worse and worse and worse. They don't know, I don't think they know that they're doing that, because they're just hot-headed, so they're just reactionary. And being reactionary just being a slave to your emotions that way because you're ticked off. So you're just going to react based off of that, based off of your anger, based off of, oh no, he didn't, or I'm not going to take that from nobody. My mama taught me never to, be treated that way or never get disrespected or, when you start thinking in those terms, I have a right. You're not supposed to do this to me. You're not supposed to. You're not supposed to do this or that. Now you're talking about somebody else, somebody else's behavior. You're supposed to behave a certain way. You're supposed to do this. You're supposed, and you didn't. So what? You're going to turn into judge, jury, and executioner and slap the guy? No, no. That's righteous, and righteous is, to me, a problem with a lot of what I see in society today. When people say no, here let me give you an example. Okay, quick example. I remember there was this guy. He was eyeing my girlfriend, and I didn't like it at the apartment. Right? He was eyeing my girlfriend, checking her out, and I warned her about it, but she didn't. She was like, "No, he's harmless, whatever." Okay. Went to the grocery store, and he could tell that I was the new boyfriend. I'm pretty sure he could tell. So because I started hanging around that area, to come see her at the apartment, right? So he's jealous. Natural, right? He's jealous. Okay, that's natural. I get it, right? So anyway, we run into him at the grocery store, and this dude grabs me. He puts his hands on me, almost like a bear hug. At that point, I'm fuming. I am super mad. This dude, I don't care how big he was way bigger than me, and he put me basically in a bear hug. I'm like, I didn't do anything to the guy other than I'm dating the girl that he likes, right? So at that point, you cross the line. You put your hands on me. Now I can punch you. That's my mentality, right? And I'm red hot. I'm ready. To me, I'm already in a grappling situation. I'm in a bear hug. So from behind, he has a bear hug over my arms from behind. So I could go into a number of moves here, or I could just start fighting this guy. And I'm comfortable with all of that. But the only thing that stops me is that I'm super pissed. My emotion. If I wasn't pissed, I could just, like I said, fighting the guy, not a problem. The grappling, all that, not a problem. I'm used to all that, not a problem. But I'm mega angry. So now I'm thinking, I want to really hurt this guy. I want to do more. I'm thinking, how far do I need to go? Does my knife come out? What do I do? So I'm going to that extent, right? Because you make an action, you got to be ready for the consequences. So my consequences at that point was, we're going to go all the way. You put your hands on me, I'm going to fight back. And from there, I expect you to fight back. We're going all the way. And if you're dumb, you're going to make it lethal, and I will go lethal too. That is my righteous brain thinking, which is an idiot, which is a dumbass. I am being reactionary. And thank goodness I didn't do anything. Because all said and done, this dude was like the Green Mile guy. He was, I don't know him, but from what I can tell, he had some kind of brain issue. Okay, so I don't know if he was functioning at a lower brain rate. Something was up. Okay, something was up with his. I could tell it was a mental illness. All right, he just wasn't up to par. So, so I'm glad I did not hurt this man. Maybe he was just, I don't know. He's just reacting like a 15-year-old. I don't know. I really don't know. He's an adult. Like I said, he was way bigger than me, and he looks normal. He didn't look like, but then I realized when I turned around, I was fuming. I made eye contact with the guy, And at that moment, ready to, like, are we going to go or what? And I'm looking at him and I realized, oh, this dude is not all right in the head there. So I'm so glad I didn't do anything. Okay, if I was reactionary, I would have. You cross the line, you touch me, you die for touching me. No one touches me without my consent. No one messes with me. That is righteous, you know. So look, you might be going, well, Wmpyr, by law, no one should touch you and this and that, right? Okay, I'm not talking about I'm a girl and this guy is a sexual predator and he touched me. That's not what this was. Okay, so there's really no reason for me to freak out and retaliate that way. Okay. So yes, it's uncalled for. Yes, I don't want to be touched. Yes, all these things. But at the end of the day, he touched me. So what? It's not that big of a deal. Like I said, it wasn't like a sexual thing. And even if it was, let's say he went home and he, got real excited and jacked off to it. You know what? Honestly, not that big of a deal. There's way worse. Okay, it's not like he sexually molested me. Maybe in his mind, and I'm not saying that that's what happened because I'm pretty sure it wasn't. But I'm just trying to tell you guys, okay, being righteous for self-defense is not a good idea. I would have landed in jail, and then I would have found out that I just put the beating on someone that was mentally, deficient. That's definitely something I wouldn't want on my record, right? Now, as far as being righteous goes, legally and all that, look, let me tell you this. You have the right to wear any color you want, right? Clothing-wise. All right, then why don't you dress in all red and go into the Bloods neighborhood? Go into the hood where the Bloods operate and dress in all red and see, or how about dress in all blue, what the Crips wear, okay? You have the right? Legally, you have the go do it. You'd be a moron to do it, right? Obviously, you wouldn't do it. If you had half a brain, you wouldn't do it, even though you have the right. So that tells you right there that people acting, like with traffic, with driving especially, people get cut off or whatever. No, you're supposed to not do that. You're supposed to stay in your lane. You cut me off. You did this. You can't control other people. I'm not saying what their actions are right, but you cannot control other people. Okay, so this girl cannot control that this dude came into her face and yelled at her, but she can control whether she's going to slap him or not. She shouldn't have slapped him. She should have just left at that point. She should have left the classroom. He cannot hold her hostage there. So at that point, she should have just left. Okay, but she slapped him. You slap a guy, you slap somebody like that, I mean, he could have punched her for it. He could have kicked her. He could have taken out a gun and blown her head away. There's consequences. Okay, I'm not saying that any of those, the guy had the right. I'm not talking about right. I'm saying reality. Reality is you slap him, he could have lost his cool, and he could have punched you back. That's not what I saw in the video. He was really trying to give her a chance for her to de-escalate the situation herself, and she went the opposite. She only escalated it. And he responded to her escalation, which is a bad idea because he put her in charge and she's obviously making all these bad moves and he's just responding back to it, which at the end of the day, my criticism to him is, why'd you give her the driving seat? Because she's obviously incapable of making good decisions. His response is that's how I taught her the lesson, but this classroom environment is not for that kind of lesson, unfortunately, all right? We don't have classes like that, unfortunately. We need, and if we did, we'd probably have less road rage, we'd have better interpersonal communication skills. As a human being, we would probably evolve more, but we don't. Instead, we're doing, honestly, a bunch of stupid stuff that we're not going to use. Um, a lot of look, I know that makes me sound like I'm super against academics. I'm just saying that there's priorities in academics, and interpersonal communication, how we interact with people, that should be way higher on the priority scale than a lot of these college courses or a lot of these educational courses, period. That's all I'm saying. That's all. I'm not against education, but that's what I'm really saying, that we got it backwards in that sense. But yeah, so in a self-defense situation, what we want is, we don't want to act righteous. Like, oh, you touched me, now I can touch you. You did this, oh, I have the right to do self-defense. We don't want to talk about rights. We want to talk about actions. You make an action, there's a consequence. So we want to talk about action and consequence. That's all. If there's a possibility, I don't care about if he's right or wrong or if it's legal or illegal. If this guy has the capability and probability that he's going to do something to me, all right, then I should get the hell out of there. Or, look, here's another example I could give you guys. This is another actual self-defense type of situation I was involved in. And I've said it before. There was this young lady. Well, I don't know how young. Let's say she looked like a teacher. And I bet she was a teacher. So she was in the car, she's a teacher, and in the passenger side, she had a young kid. I don't know if it was a baby, but I don't think it was a baby, but it was a young kid in the car, okay? I don't know, like 6 years old, I don't know, young kid, right? So I'm behind her in my car, she's in her car, her windows are down. I don't know if she was driving. No, she made her windows go down because we're going through a U-turn. Okay, we're going through a U-turn, and there are some kids in front of her, and she rolled down her window to yell at them and tell them, get the hell out of the street. What are you doing in the middle of the road? Get out of there. They shouldn't be there, but they were walking like they owned the road. So she was telling them, you guys, it's not right, get out of there, whoa, what the hell are you doing, kind of thing. So she was telling them. I think as a teacher, she felt like it was her duty. And these kids, they look like they were, I bet they were like 15, 16, 17 years old. So like anywhere like around high school, something like that, right? They were dressed in all red. So immediately I was like, they're Bloods. All right. And they're walking like they own the road. And there's, I don't know, like 4 of them. And they're walking real slow, like they could care less. Right. And so I thought, lady, what are you doing? You're endangering your life and you're endangering the kid's life that's in your passenger seat. So I was like, what can I do? And she doesn't get it. So she's talking to them and she keeps lecturing at them. And I could tell they're getting annoyed. They're flicking her off, and they're all, it's. I can't exactly hear the conversation, but they're giving her attitude back, right? But they're pretty much like trying to ignore her and just walk, right? So at this point, I'm like, what can I do to help her? Because she's about to get assaulted in my eyes. So what I did was I honked the car repeatedly, my car. I honked the horn repeatedly, and she got annoyed and she left. Okay, so in my eyes, I saved her life. In her eyes, she was like, what? This guy behind me doesn't get what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to teach these kids, to walk the roads properly. That's what she was probably thinking. Okay, so we had two totally different viewpoints. All right. So what I'm trying to say is she was being righteous, okay? In a self-defense situation, yeah, she's right legally, morally and ethically, in every way, she's probably right. But the reality is those kids, even though they look like kids, they're not normal kids. And she's about to get effed up. That's the reality. I don't care about law. I don't care about right or wrong, morals, none of that stuff. I don't care. I just know that you mess with that, there's a consequence. You mess with a shark, there's a chance you're going to get bit. So you don't mess with a shark. Those kids are sharks. That's all I saw. So, that's what I'm trying to tell you guys about. No, it's my right. I can have a cell phone. I can, you cannot yell at me. You cannot touch me. This and that. Dude, at the end of the day, violence is violence. Anyone can do anything to you. That's the truth. Okay? And then by the time the law comes in, it's too late. By the time your mama comes in to help you, stuff has already happened. So, from a self-defense point of view, de-escalation, prevention are priceless. Okay? And that is where really it's at. If it's already stuff's happening, then it's really about minimizing. It's about damage control is what it is. Okay, because it's a lose-lose situation once the action has occurred. So what you want to do is prevention, de-escalation. Those are the two. So that's it for now. Thank you for viewing, and take care, folks.